Hey, Roger, Roger. Boy, you got a, excuse me, you got a really good signal coming in Pennsylvania. You're 20 over.
Roger, Roger. We're just across the street from Louisville, Kentucky, on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, Roger on that, yeah. It's sounding good there. The station must be set up pretty good to sound that well, but, yeah, because in Pennsylvania here, the conditions aren't that great, as far as my QTH, but, boy, you were coming in there. I was going around the band and I happened to hear you there and said, boy, I got to see if I can get back to that gentleman. You sounding good there. Back to you.
Roger, Bill. Well, normally we do Qso-Vlogs on Friday afternoons, one click up on 7189, and we record. We're usually from 3:30 till 5, and we record continuous, and folks check in, and as they check in, we record them and then post it up on YouTube, and then they can go up on YouTube and hear what they sound like. Roger.
Roger, Roger. I believe I have your call sign right. It's Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Is that correct?
That's a Roger. And yeah, like I say, we are. The name is Jim Juliet India Mike. Roger.
Roger, Roger, Jim. Yeah, I just brought you up on. I didn't have my page up here. I brought you up on QRZ there, and yeah, I see you now. There, back to you.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, we have actually two sites on YouTube. The main site is Jim Ferguson's radio story, where we celebrate 50 years of commercial broadcasting, and then as an offshoot from that and an addendum, we have our Qso-Vlog page, which we're right now close to 400 Qsos on that segment. Roger.
Yeah, Roger that, Jim. I'll have to get on there and check that out there. That sounds like it's pretty interesting there. Well, I hope you had a great holiday there yesterday, and I know our family did there. I hope you did too. Back to you.
Oh, Roger, Roger. I don't want to look another ham in the eye. Too much. It takes a year to recuperate, Roger.
I gotta agree with you, Jim. Don't get me wrong. I like ham, but boy, like you said, enough's enough after you have a little bit too much there, and you don't you don't want to eat it again for a while. So it'll take me a little while to recuperate from the ham that I ate yesterday, and but I had a fine day with the family. I had the grandchildren were here and stuff, so it was a nice day. Back to you.
Oh, Roger that. Yes, but as I was talking to my mother-in-law, we agreed that probably Christmas should come around every 3 years instead of every 1 year. Roger.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with the eating and I'll tell you what, Christmas is so commercialized anymore. It's I'm afraid in the future that the kids won't know what Christmas really stands for, but. Hopefully the parents, that instill that in them and they can pass it on.
Roger. Yeah, this is probably the first time in our family area that we didn't draw names, for presents. We just this year just got presents for the younger kids. Roger.
Oh yeah, Roger. Yeah, it's more for the kids anyways. I'm a big kid at heart, though. Sometimes, but I really enjoy my kids and the grandkids and stuff. I enjoy watching them, and it makes it nice there. And just got to remember what Christmas stands for.
Oh, that's a Rogerville. Yeah, we are actually recording this one. We're kind of doing it. We have a actual Qso-Vlog studio in our set or whatever, and we're just checking out some new graphics there. We've got a little spectrum analyzer, and then a modulation light over the power amp. It's actually a couple of LEDs sampling the difference between coax ground and ground, and so it does do modulated lighting as the audio comes along. Roger.
Yeah, Roger on that. Yeah, that's well, you can get pretty in depth on as far as recordings and audio and stuff like that. Your audio broadcasts and stuff. But I play a little bit with it. I'm just I'm new at it, so I'm learning. But back in the day, I had I play guitar and stuff, and a lot of the equipment that I had back then, you can incorporate it into audio broadcasts if you, if you chose to go that way, Jim. But it's part of the hobby, and I like doing it. It just gives you another aspect of it, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes you goof up, but that's what it's all about there. At least you learn from your mistakes. Back to you.
Oh, that's a Roger. That's a Roger. And, it's amateur band is, or the amateur hobby, amateur radio hobby is so large, encompasses so much that there's something for everybody, depending on, what they like. When I first started as a technician, I spent 2 years on 10 meters and built a bunch of Yagi antennas, and, well, not actually Yagis for 10, but I did build a nice loop antenna, full wave loop antenna for 10, 36-foot loop, PVC frame with RG6 tie-tacked around it, and that thing must have at least, I've still got it up, and it must have 40 or 50 dB rejection off the corners, off the ends, Roger.
Oh, Roger, boy, that's you got good rejection on that. I'll say, boy, you're gonna have to. Then we'll be coming in on the back side of you. That's for sure. There, that's pretty good rejection there. I'll tell you what, Jim. The only antenna that I have built, I don't have it quite finished yet. Hopefully, get it done here pretty soon. I built a 6-meter rotatable dipole, and I've done that. I'm gonna do some long wire antennas. They're easy to put up and stuff. And I did get a drone for Christmas, so on my property I got a little bit over an acre, so I'm going to be stretching some long wires out there, and I have the apparatus now to put them up high, so it'll be interesting. I like to just just experiment a little bit and see one compared to the other one, and take some notes down and see what kind of signal reports I get, and if anyone's better than the other one. It all depends on the direction you're facing and where you're going with it too. So that has a big impact on it. KC9VKV, KC3ERD. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, Bill. I got a drone also a few months back, about 6 or 7 months back, and I was going to do the same thing. I just never got around to it. And I talked to this guy down in Georgia who was 95. And was flying drones and putting antennas up at 95, and he said, well, what you need to do is, before you just go out there and try it, you need to go to a park or somewhere that's got a bunch of space, and just kind of rehearse and fly and get used to it before you try to make it work, because he said you're liable to wind up with that thing up a 200-foot tree.
Yeah, Roger that, Jim, that's for sure. I'm pretty fortunate. Like I said, I got an acre of ground here, but I have a small, it's a fairly large school. It's a grade school, and on the weekends they have a big, they got an open ground there. They got acres upon acres there, so, and it's pretty wide open, no trees and stuff, so I'll probably do a little practice thing there, and there's other people who does the same thing. I've seen them flying drones and stuff like that, but I also, for Christmas, that was a Christmas gift, and I also got an apparatus that fits underneath the, I got a DJI, it's a 4, and it has a release on it, so I got a little plumb ball, and I'll put it on that release up there, and when I do get ready, I'll, get above the trees there and drop that plumb ball down through there, but that's going to be interesting. I want to make sure I can fly that, because I've never flown a drone, and I want to make sure I can handle it before I don't want to lose that kind of money all in one shot there. Back to you, Jim.
Oh, Roger that. When I was figured out, I would just take some fishing twine and lay it out in a zigzag pattern there, and probably wind up with the drone maybe 200 feet in front of the tree, and then lift it up and get about 60 feet higher than where I was going, and just go over the tree, and then probably just kill the engine, because I know that twine's going to get hung up in the rotor, so I guess it could probably take a fall, I would think, if the blades weren't running, Roger.
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, they're built pretty. They're built pretty sturdy there. I'll tell you a video that I did see on YouTube. I thought it was pretty clever. The guy, how he done it. He took a metal coat hanger and he cut the bottom of it out, and on the runners of the drone, the landing where you landed on the runners, he just taped that coat hanger across there, and probably maybe 4 inches stuck out. And he did the same. That's how I got the idea with the plumb ball. He tied his cord to it. I think it was heavy fishing line, maybe 50-pound test. And what he did, he just slid that plumb ball, through the eyelet. He slid it over that coat hanger, and he went up above the tree. And what he did, he just tilted the drone a little bit. It slid off of that hanger, and it went right down through the tree that he, wanted to hang his long wire. And so, you can get you get on there at YouTube and get some ideas off these guys. They're pretty clever. They're creative. There. Back to you, Jim.
Oh, Roger, Bill. That's Google and YouTube. They're two of my favorite places to go, and they both emphasize the point that you're not the only person that's headed down that path, and there probably are about 20 or 30 people in front of you that have already become entangled in whatever you're about to get entangled in, and they can tell you where to step and how. Roger.
No, Roger, Jim. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. The internet is a good tool in one way, in one aspect, but it can be bad in the other. So it all depends what you take from it, and got to be careful on certain sites you go on, and you don't want anybody getting your information or anything like that. But boy, it's a world of information that you can really get a lot of knowledge off. For all these people coming together and have different ways of doing stuff there, and so it's sort of a give and take. You can learn, and then maybe if you learn, you can pass it on, or some of the ideas that you have yourself, you can pass it on. Well, just for instance, like you're doing, with these audio broadcasts and stuff like that, I think that's pretty nice. Me, myself, I never heard myself on a broadcast, so, you set your gear up and stuff, and, it sounds good to some, and some may not like it, so at least you get to hear yourself and know what it's about. Back to you.
Oh, that's a Roger. That's a Roger. And, it's so hard for people to, or for anybody, to talk and listen at the same time, because, it's a conflict of interest, and your voice gets in the way of being able to hear it. And so with, recording, that is actual down-the-road recording, then when they go there, they can actually hear what their station sounds like, and we go to great lengths to get it as pristine as possible. We're running our RF gain in the front end just below compression, so AGC compression. So you can't really give anybody an actual S-meter reading because we're running such light RF that the meter is not calibrated for that. But I do have a VU meter tied to the audio, and it is looking at the audio, and when I set 0, like a little trim pot right by the toggle talk button, and so I'm just constantly riding level on incoming signals, and when after the person stops speaking, then the meter falls down and is reading the residual noise level. So I can give folks how many dB above my noise level they are, and you incidentally are like about 15 dB above my noise level, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We must be lined up pretty good here for the propagation, because you're just booming in Pennsylvania here. It's sounding really good there. I just want to ask you, Jim, what kind of equipment do you run for your radio set up there at your shack there? Back to you.
This is a homebrew condenser microphone into an ART preamp, into a heavily modified, about 30-year-old Yaesu FT990, modified in transmit and receive. In receive, it's got extremely flat response in the band pass. and in transmit it's a 2.4 that's out to about 3 now, and then it goes into a SV220 amp, and then up to a inverted V at about 35 feet. Roger.
Roger, Jim. Yeah, it's, I'll tell you what, a friend of mine has the 990 Yaesu, and I'll tell you what, it seems like when they built radios then, they really built radios. It's almost like a piece of furniture. I mean, it's a really nice radio, big radio, but you know, compared to nowadays what they're putting in a compact size. I have an older Kenwood. It's a TS950 SDX. I'm not running it right now. I'm running a FT950, and but you know, you can tell the difference how they build radios back then till now. It looks like the quality of the radio back then was so much better than it is today, unless you're buying it top of the line, you know, out of the big tree or something like that. But yeah, I'm running about the same thing, Jim. I'm running about 3 wide, and I'm running through. Oh, I'm running a Howe microphone right now. It's a PR30. Then I go into an Elise mixer board. It's you know. Then I come out of there. That's when my mic goes directly into the mixer board, and I go into a virtualizer 3D, and then from the 3D I go into a AFX exciter, and then I go out. I'm running a small amp. It's an A11H, but I'm only running it right now. It's only peaking maybe at the most here about 300 watts. I don't drive it very hard. And I'm also running out to a inverted V, and it's about 35 foot at the apex there. Back to you, Jim.
Oh, Roger that. Well, we did, my Elmer, we did a little study there, and figured with a KW from Louisville on a inverted V at about a 45-degree angle, we should be pretty omnidirectional, and should do well from Montreal to Miami and New York to New Mexico. And so far it's proving pretty much that. We're, like I say, we started our Qso-Vlog in the morning from 10:30 till noon, and the consideration was our 100-watt folks joining us. They were coming in at about a dB or 2 dB above my noise level, so not too good for them. So we figured we'd get some better conditions in the afternoon, and it's by and large held that way. That probably picked up 5 or 6 dB of extra propagation in the afternoon versus morning. So these stations, 100-watt stations, are coming in now at 7 and 8 dB above noise, which is, you know, you can tell quite a bit about the audio at that point. It's not, you know, the noise figure is not so bad then, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, Jim. Yeah, I'm on the same way. I hate to try to give somebody, you know, somebody will ask you for an audio you know, check or something like that, and if they're not coming in there, you know, 9 or 10 over strong, that I don't even like giving it, because you're not really getting the effect of what, you know, the signal really is with the sunspots and stuff. I mean, propagation plays the whole game, you know, whether or not you're going to have a good audio broadcast too. So you know, there's so many things in factor there, and it's like, you know, if people are running.
Please don't tune up on the electric frequency.
Or wide or whatever, you have to have the receive to really, I guess I want to say, appreciate that, because a lot of times if you're only running 2.8 wide or something on a receive, you can't actually hear the articulation and everything in the person's voice and stuff. So you have to. It works on both ends. And when you transmit out and on the receive, you have to have, you know, both ways there. So you got to hear it and you got to be able to transmit it. So that's I guess that's the point I'm trying to make back to you.
Oh, Roger. Well, you know, the 2 hottest radios now is the 7300 ICOM and the 7610 ICOM, and both of those radios come with a stock hand mic that is a condenser hand mic. And the first thing they want to do is get rid of that hand mic and get a desktop top mic, which is usually a dynamic. And that little condenser hand mic just is performing splendidly as far as articulation in the upper band of the audio spectrum. You know, it just is so clear and concise, and it does, I think, much better articulation capturing than a dynamic mic. So I usually advise them when they. I do a lot of advising on that, but I usually advise them to crank up some top-end EQ to make up for the difference between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. I'll tell you what, Jim, I got to agree with you on that, too. 7300, I heard quite a few. As a matter of fact, I have one, but I don't have it on my bench here yet. But I haven't heard a bad 7300 yet. And you're correct on the hand mic. They're just, I think they got so well the impedance matched on that mic to that radio. You don't need anything else. I know a lot of guys are trying to run, I know they run that Howe mic on there. I can't think of the model right now, but I don't believe that they're any better than the condenser mic. I mean, it just, it's so well matched to that receiver, to that transceiver. It's just, it's unbelievable. Back to you.
Roger. Well, it's inherent capabilities of a condenser microphone. The element is just capable of such a beautiful top-end response and fairly flat, beyond the capabilities of a dynamic mic, and that's a whole story, another story there. But like I say, this is a condenser mic here, and I've heard, to me, just condenser mics are just so much more suited for amateur radio as far as being able to make a radio sound like $1 million, whereas with the dynamic mic, they're going to have to add, quite a bit of top-end EQ to try to approximate that stock hand mic that comes with that 7300 or the 7610.
Yeah, I agree there. That's you're going to have to start doing the EQ to get it any better than what it really is. I mean, and it's superb the way it sets, So that's a radio in the condenser mic. You don't have to do anything to it. Take it out of the box and put it together, and just talk on it. They sound tremendous. I mean, they're great, and it's just part of the game. I mean, that's just part of the whole thing here, is getting everything to match up right and trying to get that sound, that articulation and everything. So, it takes a while to do, and be pretty much a good engineer to figure it out. And with getting everything well balanced, the highs, mids, and lows in there, with your EQ and stuff, that means a lot too. So, if everything's set right in the radio that comes out of the factory, I don't think you have to do too much improvement on it there. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, Bill, and you're going to enjoy that 7300. That is one of the radios that have been game changers. That 7300 and the 7610, both of those radios have exceptional limiters in the ALC circuit. So you can run that ALC circuit 2/3 and towards max out, and there is no or very little distortion there. And what happens is you just get your audio just gets fatter, and it's not normally if you run. I suggest running about a 3 on the compressor and a mid-scale to 2/3 on the ALC, and you will be turning about 3 dB dynamic range in your audio. And that is, we're talking about peak, average peak modulation with unprocessed signals about 30%. So by the time you finish with that 3 on the compressor and running that ALC from half to 2/3 on that radio, you'll be turning about 3 dB dynamic range, which will be about 65-70% average peak modulation.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you what, you're correct. I mean, that's 100% right. I mean, you got to dial that in to get the sweet spot. I think a lot of, not that I know too much about it, but I do read a lot. a lot of the, well, not a lot, but some of the operators, when they're running amplifiers in their audio, there's only so much room for wattage and so much room for your audio. So that's when you got to get it well balanced. Because if you ever drive the mic and then it gets distorted, and if you ever drive your amplifier, it does the same thing. It's like trying to get too much water through a garden hose. That's the only way I can think about it. And if you have it well articulated and everything's working together, your wattage and your audio is all working together. And like you said, if you can hit that sweet spot about 3 dBA, and then you got everything working together, that's when it sounds the best. That's how I'm thinking about it anyway. Back to you.
Oh, Roger, that's true. And you'll, like I say, you'll just enjoy that 3600. It's just a 7600. I'm sorry. I'm having a mental breakdown here. Anyway, you're going to enjoy that radio you got there. It's a beautiful radio, and like I say, you listen to that hand mic. I think you have a monitor circuit in that radio, and so listen to that hand mic and observe that hand mic frequency response. I think you have a spectrum analyzer in there too, and look at that hand mic frequency response in the spectrum analyzer, and then try to approximate that with your desk mic, as far as the clarity is concerned. Roger?
Yeah, QSL. Yeah, I'll have to do that, Jim. I just haven't gotten on the bench. I got everything set up in my shack right now, and I don't know if you ever look me up on QRZ, you'll see I got pretty much a confined space, and I have a lot of equipment in it, so I'm going to pull some of the older rigs I have out and get that back in line here. So that'll probably be before spring here. It's going to be sometime through the winter because I have more time to work on stuff through the winter months. So yeah, I got to get it out there and get it going here, and it's going to be a new ball game to me. That'll be the newest rig that I really have. Well, I got an FT991A. I do have that on a bench here too. So. But the newest thing after that is this FT950 that I'm talking on. So I'm not up on the modern radio right now. So, hey Jim, with that being said, I'm going to back out of here, and I hate to leave, but because you're coming in so great into Pennsylvania here, but I got some things I got to do, and I heard you calling CQ there, and there's probably other people in there listening. They'll probably want to get back to you anyway. So with that being said, Jim, thanks for picking me up there. And boy, you get a little piece of knowledge you take with everybody. That's what I try to do when I'm talking. I try to get that piece of knowledge that you just never had there, and try to keep it in the memory bank there. Okay, Jim, I'm glad you had a good Christmas there, and wish you well and your family well, and keep up the good work. I'm going to have to check your site out there on YouTube there and see what it consists of. With that being said, KC9VKV, KC3ERD, back to you. Jim, to tie the ribbon on it, and thanks for picking me up.
Roger, Bill. Well, like I say, we have been recording, and we will be posting this on YouTube. So it usually takes us a couple of days to manage to upload it. So in a couple of days, if you wanted to, you could go to YouTube and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. That'll take you to our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll find our QSO, and it'll have your call sign on it. Usually I do a group AIRCHECKs, but this one, was kind of a busman's holiday. We're just checking out some stuff. So it'll have, it's KC3ERD, Roger?
QSL, Jim, yeah. Kilo Charlie 3 Echo Romeo Delta. Yep, you got her.
Roger. So it'll have your call sign in the title, so just look for that. Usually it's on page 1, but YouTube sometimes puts it on page 2. So either 1 or 2 pages, but it'll be there, Roger.
Okay, Jim, thank you for that, and I'll look forward to it. And I'll probably, a little bit later on, I get some free time, I'll probably check it out anyways there, and I'll just put it on my favorites there, and get I'll be a follower and also. So, okay, James, take care, and thanks again for picking me up there. And I think I did hear somebody trying to come in there to talk to you there. So 73s, wish you well, and look forward to talking to you again. Kilo Charlie 3, Echo Romeo Delta. I'll be clear with KC9 Victor Kilo Victor.
Roger, Roger, Bill. 3 is that away, sir. Have a good day, and Happy New Year.